crafty friends, it's Sharon Luska here from My Crafty Greetings, and I'm doing a video today for Scrappy Tails again. I'm using the Easter Lillies stamp set, and I think it is the easiest stamp to color where you can get the highest impact. If you do not have a lot of coloring skills, this is going to be the image for you, and it is perfect for so many cards. I've got a couple paint brushes here. One is just a number 6 round and the other one's just a teeny tiny square one that I have, and then I have my koi watercolors here. I just got them at the big box store. I've got what's called Payne's Gray, and I mixed it with a little tiny bit of blue here, and I've got it very watery, and I'm just starting off doing a shadow around the outside. I don't want to be doing this when my card has been fully painted to my satisfaction, just in case I make a mistake. So it's an easy time to stop if I mess things up here. So I'm just mixing some color for the leaves, and I'm making 2 tones, and I'm just working in some of the gray and a few of the different greens together to get a color that makes me happy. And I blend a little bit of that lighter color into my leaf mixture here, and you can see, just go ahead and load this on. It's on Neenah, so you don't need to use watercolor paper. Just use a good quality watercolor brush. If you have like a water brush, that's okay too, but I think a watercolor brush, a good quality one, is going to be better for you. And I just stamped this on with Versamark Onyx Black, or Nocturne if you want to use VersaFine. Both are excellent colors or excellent inks for doing color work like this. And I find it's much faster to paint things than I do to actually color with my markers. I'm still getting used to those. So now I'm mixing up a really thin consistency of what's called Payne's Gray. It has kind of a bluey, muddy color, muddy water, and you want to use that because that's nice and transparent. And the whole idea is everywhere these petals are overlapping or indented, we're going to put a tiny wash of gray, and that's what's going to make these flowers pop and look more realistic. So just little tiny bits in the edges where you see them overlapping, and then these indent marks that Sabrina's grandma has added to these pictures, you want to add a little bit of gray to those too so that you can see where they've actually gone in. Sorry, somebody wasn't willing to share with somebody else, so they got noisy. Anyways, the folded over areas too, I put a little bit of gray in as well. And now I'm just dabbing in just some straight yellow from the pan, any bright yellow, because the white, I can't remember what kind of lilies, the white ones, Casablanca lilies, there you go. The white Casablanca lilies have that kind of brilliant yellow to them. And I'm just firming up some of the stems here using this straight, intense dark green. And once it's dried, when I pick it up with a tiny bit of liquid, it's going to go on with a great deal of intensity. And this is a great way to cut in lines because it won't be watery. It'll just give you nice, intense work. Now I've got that little teeny tiny brush, and I loaded it up with some green mixed with yellow, and that's just to make a brighter green for the stamens. And I wanted to make sure that those actually could show up. So having the paint be a thicker consistency or more intense consistency and using a teeny tiny brush is going to help. Now I mixed up a rusty color, a rusty orangey yellow color, and I'm just dropping in all of the little pollen finger dingers. It's been a while since I've done a biology class. And I'm putting in some little speckles because I usually find that they have little speckles on the petals. So now I've also grabbed some red and purple I've mixed here together, and I'm just going to dot in all these little teeny tiny flowers with this small brush as well. And you can make those any color you want because there are so many different flowers that have that conformation that look that way in arrangements. So I'm also going to take some of my green here, and I just added the tiniest amount of liquid. It is the darker uncut green, and I'm adding in all of the shadows and veining on my lily leaves. And you can see, just simple. You want to darken the tip and a little bit darker along the edges of anywhere where something's overlapping the leaf. And yeah, just right down the veins, and that's going to do the job for you. You don't have to be perfect with it. People are going to be well impressed with your job coloring this. Now I made a mistake. I bled some of that purple, so all I've done is taken and added some purple to the rest of the picture. No worries. So you also want to smudge in a little bit of green here in these gaps, because there would be a confusion or a glow of green if you had taken a photograph, because you wouldn't be able to tell what was stem and what was actually behind this. Painting the bow yellow here, and then I'm just going to add a little touch more of yellow to the buds here. Now here's the key. Get yourself a white gel pen, one that works well, and you're going to go over the petals, and this is going to give them that beautiful luminous white glow. And if it goes over top of the gray, that's perfect. That's why you don't need to do super fine detail work on these flowers. Add some little white dots too, because that will look great over the center. And then just do a few light streaks across the buds, and that's going to give them that kind of glow of having some yellow inside those flower buds with a nice white outside. I also decided to add a little bit of detail on what would look like status. And there's that picture painted with watercolor. Now you don't have to do that background if you don't want to, but anyways, here I did this with, what are these? Oh, Zigs. Zig real brush markers. I'm losing it. Now my best advice to you is to make sure you paint all of the leaves first, because then that way you will have a much easier time seeing all the structures. Now you can see I'm painting this in streaky. I'm going to be coming back with a brush with water here and just going over and blending it a bit more. It's not going to blend great on watercolor paper, but you know what? Don't worry. That's okay. This is just going to be a really pretty painting anyways. So here's that really light gray again, and I'm just going right around all of those petals just to knock in a little bit of shadow up against that black line. And that's going to really help make these convincing looking as flowers. That, and then when we paint the stamens and put in these colored centers here, when your eye goes towards the middle of a flower, it definitely makes it look like it's got more depth. There's always green at the top and the bottom of those little buds as well. So that's why I've got the fluorescent green. And then I'm also painting in those stamens again, and on this picture here, and making sure that I've got some nice fine brilliant green lines and a couple little dots of green at the base there too, so that they look like they're attached to the throats of the flowers themselves. Now I did the pollen packets or whatever they are, and those little sticks both in the same color, and then I'm just dabbing in all of these little tiny flowers in purple again. So you could use yellow and do golden buttons. You could do a gray and keep it white for baby's breath. You can pretty much pick any color that you want to paint those. Now I'm taking in my more intense darker green, and I'm just flicking in little lines along the edges that would be against other flowers or rolled over, making sure that the veins are colored in, and then I'm just blending it the tiniest little bit with that fine I think it's called a filbert brush. It's like a square-ended brush. But you're just going to add that, and that'll just give more depth to the whole arrangement itself. Anywhere where the leaves are caught way in behind petals, it's safe to say a good amount of green is going to do you no harm. And if you smudge back there, nobody's going to know anyways. Nobody can really tell exactly what structures are back there. Just do your best. Now a tiny dot of dark green at the base so that you can almost see where they're attached to their stems, and then smudging in a tiny bit more green on those really pretty buds there, just to give them lots of color. And now I'm going in with gray, and I forgot to do the folded parts of the petals. There's a few areas where the petals kind of fold up, which is natural on an arrangement. And then I'm also putting in those little mustard colored specks. It's almost like they've got freckles. So here we are with the gel pen, going over the flowers and the buds. So you're going to use streaks from the points of the petals down into the centers, and then over top of all that dotted area, just put in a few dots. And this is going to also clean up all of that gray So now I have an embossed piece of kind of blue paper. Is that like Tiffany blue? Let's pretend it's Tiffany blue. So I just got out a white ink pad, Hero Arts white ink pad, and I just swept across it to give it a little bit more detail here. I have this picture and I trimmed it down. I added a little bit of foam and another layer of white and this gold frame that I had. And I have a blessed Easter sentiment from the stamp set. It's so pretty. I absolutely love it. And I decided to cut it out in a circle and then have a gold matting circle that matches that background piece that I cut. That's background piece is just an old die I had in my posse here. So I'm taking some yellow ribbon to mimic the ribbon that's on the bouquet there, and I'm not tying it. I'm just kind of looping it around so it looks like a bow from behind. And then once I've got it all situated in place, I'm throwing a bit more ATG over top of it to make sure that it stays attached down. And that's going to finish that card. And I think this one's the zig one. I did add in a tiny bit of shadow around the arrangement using watercolor on that one. So here we go. Here's some close-ups. I'm sorry the lighting is not great. It has been dismal and gray in Canada, and I count on my natural sunlight to do some great photos. So here's how we finished the second image. I have some Tim Holtz dies here, and I did the outline. I also cut the image in the same shape and offset it a bit, and I added some of those perfect pearls to it as well. Now this panel here is embossed with a wood panel embossing or wood floor embossing folder that I just brushed lightly with some ink, and I'm going to stamp the Easter greeting sentiment. Love this too. That's the owner, Sabrina's handwriting. Man, this is a talented family. Between the artwork and the lettering and the drawings, it's just incredible. And everybody who does the manufacturing in this company is American. So this is American jobs, my friends. If you're buying these products, which I sure hope you do, you're going to be giving jobs to Americans, not just from designers and store owner, but also you're giving jobs to Americans that are making both the stamp sets and the dies. So now I've got a funky loop here with some organza ribbon, and I'm attaching my little backer piece here. I also want to mention, oh, there's one of my glue boogers that I don't use glue dots. I just rip a little piece off of the tape roll and slide them in behind. That way I get perfectly the size that I need. And if I need something really tiny, I got it. If I need something big, I've got it too. So I'm adding the glue to the sentiment. Now I just want to say, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I sure would love it if you would. If you are thinking of shopping at Scrappy Tails, the links will be below. Please go ahead and use my links. That lets Sabrina know that I'm working hard to get you interested in these stamp sets and dies. And thank you so much for joining me. If you give me a thumbs up, that helps me get spread around. And if you share my video, that's even more awesome. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.